America's Voice family.
Are you on Getter yet? No?
What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored.
And it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec.
And so many more.
And the best part?
You can watch Real America's Voice right there on Getter.
Live.
So join the conversation.
Hop on the Getter chat room.
Engage with patriots who are just like you.
Good morning, Getter friends.
We're breaking news, we're delivering the truth,
And we're doing it on Getter
Every single day.
So don't wait. Download the Getter app now.
Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
It isn't just an app. It isn't just a social media platform. It's a community.
Happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
a commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is King.
The Catholic Church has a new leader this morning, and for the first time in history, it's an American-born pope.
The first trade deal of President Donald Trump's second term.
It opens up a tremendous market for us.
The agreement with the United Kingdom would expand the market for U.S. beef and ethanol, while the U.S. would drop its new 25% tariff on fancy British cars like Land Rover to 10% for every 100,000 cars sold.
Prosecutor Jeanine Pirro is the new top prosecutor in D.C. President Trump appointed Pirro on an interim basis. This comes after President Trump withdrew his first nominee, Ed Martin, this morning. There was bipartisan pushback over his nomination, partly because of his defense of January 6th rioters.
This morning, the father of the teen police say shot and killed 2 people at a Wisconsin school is under arrest. 42-year-old Jeffrey Rupnow, now charged with contributing to the delinquency of a child and providing a dangerous weapon to a person under 18.
George Simion, a right-wing candidate, has won the first round of a rerun presidential elections in Romania with over 40% of the vote and will face the centrist mayor of Bucharest, Nicu Sordan, in the next round of the elections.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard for a very special international edition of Human Events Daily. Today is May 9th, 2025, Anno Domini. And earlier this week, we were in Rome, Italy, covering the conclave of the new Pope Leo XIV. But now we've come for a different type of election, a real election of the people here in Bucharest, Romania. And we're so honored to be sitting down with presidential candidate George Simion. George, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here in our home, Jack. Yes, a real election, a re-election, actually a repeated election.
That's right.
Democratic crisis caused by the globalists in Brussels. Here in my country, in Romania, I am the front runner. We are winning by a landslide these elections, and the only thing that can stop us is some people interfering with the voting process. I won in the first round with 41% of the ballots against 21% of the mayor of Bucharest, a pro-LGBT guy who had a platform saying we are basically giving money to Ukraine in order to assure that Romania remains safe. We don't believe in this. We don't believe in escalating anywhere. We believe in our strategic partnership with the US, with our American friends, and we believe in sovereignty. So this is my ticket for democracy, for giving back the power to the people, and it's about the rule of law. They always used this phrase, the rule of law, the constitutional order. We are fighting for the constitutional order, this meaning the power of the people to vote and not to be humiliated like they were in December 2024.
Well, and we saw in the United States, we heard this phrase again and again, no one is above the law, no one is above the law. And then time and again, these same forces would then use that law to arrest Donald Trump, to raid his home with federal agents, to come up with crazy accusations and cases against him, claiming his loans were out of date, claiming all of this was out of date, and it was always a complete nonsense. And the American people saw through it, and they fought through the lawfare. And I certainly pray that the Romanian people also see through the corruption that's going on here so that they can have a truly free country and a free and fair election. We're going to be right back in 1 second here with George Simion here in Bucharest, Romania.
Understand what America First truly means.
Welcome to the second American Revolution.
All right, listen up, folks, because I'm about to put you onto something that will change the way you start your day. I'm talking about Blackout Coffee, and Blackout Coffee is not just coffee, it's a wake-up call, a call to rise and grind, to push harder, to never compromise on what you stand for. This isn't your average cup of joe. Every bag of Blackout Coffee is roasted with purpose, packed with bold flavor, and fueled by the kinds of values that built the United States. Grit, determination, and a refusal to back down. They don't just make coffee, they make a statement. Blackout Coffee is stepping up, adding more warriors to get your orders out faster than ever. So when you hit the Order Now button, you know your coffee's coming fresh and ready to fuel your next move. Whether you're powering through the daily grind, chasing big goals, or just refusing to settle for mediocrity, Blackout Coffee has got your back. Don't just drink coffee, drink Blackout. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/POSO and use promo code POSO for 20% off your first order. Taste the coffee that doesn't just wake you up, it fires you up. That's blackoutcoffee.com/POSO. And we're back. Jack Posobiec here, live Bucharest, Romania. We're sitting down with George Simion. He is running for president here in Romania. You talked before about this lawfare that was used against the previous candidate, the overturning of an election, something that our Vice President, J.D. Vance, when he came to Munich, spoke very forcefully about and spoke very clearly about, and yet they seem to have no problem doing it whatsoever. What has been the reaction of the people of Romania when they see something like this?
We had massive protests, and we had the vote last Sunday, which is not my result. They didn't vote for me, they voted for Romania, for the Romanian people, for their voice. This is why we had such a great victory. the instrumentalization of justice that happened, like you mentioned, in the US. We had Tuesday many MAGA figures here in Bucharest. We had Dirk Toten, we had Brian Brown, we had Matt Schlapp in Romanian American Business Forum. I remember what they did with Mike Lindell, Pillow. Lindell, and with all the people that were faithful until the end, were loyal to President Trump. This is about loyalty towards our ideals and to the Romanian people.
Well,
the people appreciated that we didn't betray, we stick to until the end, and they are doing the exact same thing in Poland. We will have next Sunday elections in Romania and in Poland. Instrumentalization of justice is a big problem. Donald Tusk is doing this there against our friends from Law and Justice, the Conservative Party there, and they are trying to stop Karol Nawrocki, my good friend, of winning. I tell you what, Jack, if the elections will be free and fair, in Romania and Poland we will have two transatlantic presidents, two MAGA presidents on the eastern flank of NATO. And these are the victories that will change and will flip all the governments in the European Union.
One thing you said about the law and justice candidate in Poland, as well as with yourself and what we've seen in Romania, I remember my family, my background is Polish, as most people know, and so when the government started to go after Donald Trump, when they started to do the lawfare, and people were saying, I cannot believe this, I've never heard of something like this. I said, well, that's because you're not used to it in America. There are other parts of the world where during the 1980s, during the 1970s, parts of Eastern Europe where this type of politics, unfortunately, was actually very common. And my wife, who was born in the Soviet Union and came to US, she got out for freedom. She said, I have seen this movie so many times where someone gets powerful, but they don't like him, and they bust his door in the middle of the night. Suddenly there is a corruption charge, and you never hear from him again. Why are we seeing this happen again?
They are losing the power. They painted themselves as Democrats, but they are authoritarian. They are bloody dictators. They are just like Lukashenko in Belarus and Chavez in Venezuela. They are Iranian authoritarian regime. They have some ayatollahs here in Romania who say, you can run, you cannot run. This is not a democracy. So we have met the so-called Soviet heaven. It is hell. We don't want to go back to it. We will stand up for our freedom, for our rights. And my opponent, who is a globalist puppet, supported by Emmanuel Macron and Ursula von der Leyen, will be bashed in the second round and will lose in a historical way this competition, but only if the elections will be fair and free, because they have the deep state with them, they have institutions, they even attacked our national currency on Monday in order to say it is the fault of the sovereignists that they won elections, and look what happened to the Romanian leu, our national currency. It has been depreciated.
We've seen currency manipulation be used in elections many, many times.
Many times by George Soros, our ideological opponent. He did this in many countries, including the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And they tried this through JP Morgan in Romania this Monday.
I hadn't heard that, but it doesn't surprise me, because it is a very common tactic that you'll see them use, especially in countries where the economy is tied together, like in the EU, where they have that direct influence. Just a few minutes until the break. Do you have any worry that what happened to the previous election, let's say you do win, Do you have any worry that the courts might come in and do it again?
The courts cannot come in right now. The message from Washington was very powerful, and we thank Homeland Security, the Department of State for getting Romania a warning, a fair warning.
I saw it.
You are not a democracy and you cannot be in the visa waiver program. Actually, my political opponents, the government here, are telling that I was responsible for it.
You've been very busy.
Yeah, actually, I've been accused of attacking our currency. I've been accused of rapes. I've been accused of. It's a good thing I wasn't in Rome, and J.D. Vance was in Rome in the final meeting with the last pope.
They accuse you of that too.
They would have accused me of that. They even wrote there is this media outlet, very progressist, very leftist, very deep state owned, financed by Germany here, G4 Media, who even told me that I was in the U.S. Embassy, and because of me, a painting in the U.S. Embassy has been changed. This is the way they lie. This is the way my political opponent lies. He is saying that I will have snap elections, I will provoke chaos, I'm a violent guy, and he's saying I will fire the teachers. This is his message for the teachers in Romania. If Simion will be president, he said it, I didn't say this, he will fire the teachers. Actually, they do what they know best. They want to control the citizens through fear. We have a message of peace, of love, of understanding, of dialogue, but they want to raise fear in the society that everything will go bad.
Hold that thought, because that's so important what you're saying. It reminds me of COVID. We'll be right back here. Jack Posobiec, George Simion.
back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Our cameras were rolling just moments ago when White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller addressed the media. Here's what he had to say.
Mr. Miller, do you believe George Conrad's gateway funded? I have two quick questions. First, President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So it's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts will do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed the body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article III courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed what's called jurisdictional stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article III courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch. The courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller, to further incentivize deportation of illegal aliens, is the administration considering going after businesses that knowingly employ illegal aliens?
Well, they already have. Worksite, of course, I don't have the exact statistics, but it's at multiple hundreds of percent. So the increase in worksite enforcement has been dramatic, it's been immediate, and that will continue.
Outside the White House just moments ago on this final day of the week.
Today, they talk about influencers. These are influencers, and they're friends of mine. Jack Posobiec. Where's Jack? Jack, he's done a great job.
And we're back. Jack Posobiec here. Want to bring also in the third hour of the Charlie Kirk Show on the Salem Radio Network. A very special interview live on location, Bucharest, Romania, with the front runner for the presidential election, George Simion. George, you gave and you mentioned Mike Lindell a moment ago. Mike Lindell has been, he's a good friend of mine, good friend of my family. He also allows my wife to sell some pillows, but we don't buy those. We only buy mine. And promo code POSO, never promo code Tanya. But he's a champion, a tireless warrior for election integrity. And he's faced much persecution because of this. And in fact, even someone he was involved with is actually in jail, Tina Peters, in Colorado, because she was preserving records, and they said she stole them. You gave a press conference a few days ago regarding election integrity and one of your big concerns upcoming in the election. Walk me through that.
So the difference from the first round is 20%. 41 for me, 21 for my opponent. There is virtually no chance of them winning and taking 51 to 49%. No chance ever. But we have 3 million dead people on the voting list, because in total the population of Romania is 19 million.
Okay.
Last census in 2021. And they are saying, the authorities, the electoral authorities, they are saying we have on the list 18 million people. So the voting age is 18 years old.
So you must have no children.
Yeah, no, actually we have 3,500,000 children. So
the numbers don't work.
Not at all. There's a big difference consisting. We just discovered it through mailing letters. We had this list.
You pulled the voter roll.
Yeah, we sent letters, personalized letter to each voter, especially to the elder voters.
Of course.
And their family contacted us. How do you have our contact? It's in the electoral list. I told them to delete it. My father has died 20 years ago. So the only chance for them is manipulating the votes through deep state, through their methods of intimidating people. We just received the text in the commercial break from an entrepreneur that they gathered all the entrepreneurs and told them to use fear and to tell the employees to vote against Simion because they will be fired if they will not vote against Simion. And the way they will proceed is to have this time the dead people rising from the dead and voting. This is our biggest concern for electoral integrity next Sunday.
I think there's a famous novel about the dead rising in Transylvania.
Yes,
of course,
yes,
with
one of the zones in Romania.
Yes.
And these dead people.
So Dracula has come back, and now he's voting.
Yeah.
He's voting Democrat.
Yeah.
It's completely ridiculous. Will you be able? Do you have time? I know the election is only 1 week. Will you be able to have your teams out there checking these ballots to make sure that this doesn't happen?
We have 40,000 people in the voting stations, to each station. We are very well organized. The only thing they are trying to do in some countries, like the Republic of Moldova, where is in government a lady close to Emmanuel Macron, they will try to bring through governmental organization.
Oh, like observers.
Yeah, they will try to put votes inside they will try to manipulate ballots.
Well, certainly, if you catch any information of that, I always tell people this, that when we were doing this in 2024 and 2020 and 2016, and even when I was coming up in politics in Philadelphia, use your phone, and if it's legal, just record it. Just record them and show exactly what they're doing.
We have James Traynor, which is the vice president of the Federal Electoral Committee in Bucharest. We had it.
You've got to train them all up, folks. We're coming on a quick break right now. We will be right back here live in Bucharest, Romania. Jack Posobiec and presidential candidate George Simion.
back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. The White House is juggling a number of different issues. For instance, tomorrow, a U.S. trade delegation will meet with Chinese officials in Geneva, Switzerland to talk about tariffs. And then next week, President Trump will head to the Middle East, where he'll meet with officials from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE. But on the domestic front, just moments ago, Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, joined reporters to talk about issues related to our elections.
So, really concerned. Those are all great questions. The Department of Justice, of course, is working on all three of the things that you just mentioned, and hopefully we'll have a further update soon. I can tell you on election integrity that the president recently signed an executive order that was the most comprehensive election integrity order that was ever issued. And as you may recall, that included in it a requirement to verify citizenship to vote. Another example where a district court judge lawlessly intervened, enjoined that requirement. Now think about this. Congress passed a law, making it a crime, a felony for non-citizens to vote. And yet a judge has enjoined the executive branch from enforcing and upholding that statutory requirement. So the courts, the radical rogue judges, they don't care what Congress said. They don't care about what the Constitution says. They're just imposing their own Marxist agenda on the whole country. And that's obviously...
They want to follow up on January 6th.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Department of Justice is investigating all of the issues that you mentioned. I wish I had a fuller update for you now, but I can assure you that our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, our FBI Director, and now Ed Martin at the Weaponization Working Group will all be, and of course we put up a new D.C. attorney, will all be diligently working on ensuring accountability and justice. Yes, back there.
Stephen Miller also being considered. There are reports out there to replace Mike Waltz, who is the outgoing national security advisor for President Trump. So he is now in the spotlight again. President Trump saying just earlier this week that Stephen Miller already assumed some of those jobs and some of those duties that Mike Waltz was doing. So that's one of the things to consider, as we just heard from Stephen Miller. We, of course, are going to get you back to the regular schedule.
And Jack, where's Jack? Where's Jack? Where is he? Jack, I want to see you. Great job, Jack. Thank you. What a job you do. You know, we have an incredible thing. We're always talking about the fake news and the bad, but we have guys, and these are the guys who should be getting Pulitzers.
If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. When's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof that you actually own your house. If you're like me, the answer is never. The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how this works. Criminals can forge your signature on one document, steal your identity, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then take out loans using your equity or even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a consolidation or collection or foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing today and find out immediately if you're already a victim. Use promo code POSO at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection that's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com/POSO. That's HomeTitleLock.com/POSO now. HomeTitleLock.com/POSO. And we're back. Jack Posobiec here, sitting down with George Simion. He is the current frontrunner for the Romanian presidency. That's assuming it's a free and fair election, as we were just talking about in our last segment. We're in Bucharest, Romania. I want to welcome in, of course, the third hour Charlie Kirk show on the Salem Radio Network, coast to coast in the United States. George, one of the things that has been a huge issue in the United States and has been from the start, a few months ago, I even had the honor to accompany Secretary Bessent. We rode to Kiev, rode the train. We met with President Zelensky. He delivered the first draft of this U.S.-Ukraine mineral deal. And the goal of this deal was to prepare, hopefully, for a future peace agreement between U.S., Ukraine, and Russia. Now, as we know, the peace deal has not been reached yet. The negotiations are ongoing. Currently, as we sit today, I believe there's a ceasefire because they're having Victory Day celebrations. But there's a lot of indications that the war may continue. If you are elected president, what would your role be? Would you support the peace talks? Would you support escalation? What could you do as president of Romania?
We have suffered a lot from the Soviet Russian occupation. We are a people that was threatened. They took our land. They murdered our grandfathers. So we know how the Soviets are working. Unfortunately, many of the Ukrainians that lead now Ukraine also have some Soviet reflexes. We are for peace, for diplomatic resolving crisis, for de-escalation. So we fully support President Trump. And I know that President Trump will manage to make peace. He is a peacemaker. And some that are trying to strong-arm him will not succeed. There is no point of this war to continue any longer. No point besides helping the industrial military complex to go on any further. So we will take actions for peace, and we will be on the front line here in the Eastern Europe, on the eastern flank of NATO, to provide peace. I know the Ukrainian administration didn't behave properly with President Trump in the first mandate in 2019, and with all the corruption scandal around Hunter Biden. But I am here to guarantee that Romania is a serious partner in the strategic partnership directly with the US, and we will continue to be a serious partner in NATO, being the ones that fulfilled the commitments to pay for our defense when President Trump had his first mandate as president of the US.
And certainly sharing a border with Ukraine, if the war were to escalate, not only would it affect the people of Romanian heritage who live on the Ukrainian side of the border, but also obviously have direct effects on Ukraine and on the Black Sea.
You can imagine we have a big problem with the Ukrainians not respecting the rights of our Romanians there for churches and schools. They are behaving miserably. This is why I'm saying that they still have some Soviet reflexes. Of course, you cannot enter like the Russians did with tanks, with bombs to attack, to cancel all international agreements. We need new security guarantees after the peace talks, and hopefully we will have the peace negotiations. We are praying for this.
Well, I think that's exactly right, and we will see. I think we will see because, of course, at the U.S., one of the issues that comes up so much when we have this debate is suddenly the U.S., we are paying for so much of this war. The artillery, the shells, the bombs, the missiles, even pensions to the military, even some of the retirees, the salaries, it's coming from U.S. And this was a huge issue for President Trump when he ran in 2024. And not just in Ukraine, but whether it's Israel, Gaza, whether it's the current issue in India, Pakistan, or issues with China, it's all about peace. It's about finding a peaceful situation. Even when, for example, Iran, this has been a big issue lately, there have been some members saying, oh, we should go directly to war, go directly for airstrikes, and he said, absolutely not. We're going to have peace.
Rubio did amazing progress with the Iranian peace deal, de-escalation of the conflict and the nuclear weapons, and I'm surprised of the results. I was in Washington when the discussion started, so of course The only thing to imagine is a war like in the first term of President Trump, without wars, without losing unnecessary lives. We are Christian people and peace-loving people.
And this is something for, especially for my American audience, when I come here to Eastern Europe, people don't realize that these countries that we're talking about in Europe, they have such deep history, but the geography, they're very close to each other. They're very, very close. So in the U.S., we are very blessed. We have two enormous oceans on either side of us, and no really strong country to the north in terms of their military. I'll give them something on their history, but and the same to the south. But in the rest of the world, it is not like that. So these security guarantees and the security questions obviously are much more than just words on paper.
For sure.
Now, I have to ask you, though, because when we came in here and we sat down, were you filming a TikTok by yourself and uploading it to your own phone?
This is how you do it if you want to be successful on TikTok. It's the best.
So he comes in here, and for everyone who's watching, he comes in, I'm sitting down, I'm getting everything ready for the interview, I'm preparing it, and he starts doing something on his phone, and he turn around, now I'm part of the TikTok, you upload. Do you really do all of your own social media?
Especially,
or, a lot of it?
Especially on Facebook and on TikTok, because they are the most popular here. So I uploaded the video, and now already 100,000 people watched it.
I'm viral.
Yeah.
I've never been viral before.
So no, you just have 3 million followers on X.
But is this?
I know my.
Not that you count.
Yeah.
But is this something that's new? How is social media changed? Because obviously in U.S. with the rise of Trump and myself, using social media so often, how has social media played a new role in politics here?
I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be on the first place if we wouldn't have social media. Mainstream media was exercising censorship. If you didn't go on TV, you didn't matter in politics before. In 2020, the deep state in Romania tried to prevent us from passing the threshold and entering the Romanian parliament. And they said they will not go on TV channels, nobody in the press will talk with them, they will have 1% of the votes. We had 10% of the votes through Facebook. Now we have Facebook and TikTok, and we are spreading our ideas faster than any mainstream media channel can, and directly to the people. I'm talking directly to the Romanian people, and this is awesome. This is why they cannot control us. I don't have any big industry like the pharma industry or the army industry or the drugs industry behind me. I have only the Romanian people, and I remain loyal only to them. It is very important. I'm not indebted to anyone.
Well, I can certainly attest that for what I saw with my own two eyes, ladies and gentlemen, he's doing it all by himself, and he's sitting here. And then you see you're checking are the comments good? What are they saying about me?
Because it's good to see the reactions of
exactly.
People, to stay in touch with the people.
This is something, it's revolutionary, and I know that President Trump, he doesn't use Twitter as much as he used to. He used to go, before he was banned and everything, he used to go on there every day, and he would read and read and read, and you could see the exact response of the people in real time.
A big change in the American elections that we followed and we supported President Trump was made by Elon Musk buying X. It is very, very important. I now, for the international readers, for our American friends, I post on X in my account and mostly in English. It is important that you have a platform that doesn't exercise censorship like they did, like banning the account of President Trump. And
now it is so free, and because X has become free and what Elon has done, I think it's having a pressure on Facebook, on Zuckerberg, on TikTok, on YouTube, that if they don't make their platforms more free, they're going to lose, because everyone's going to go to the place where you can talk freely. We'll be right back here. Jack Posobiec, live at Bucharest, Romania.
With the thieves, let patriots come. That was the chant ringing out across party headquarters as George Simion took a clear lead in Romania's presidential election. In a recorded post on social media, Simion congratulated his supporters and said they were approaching an exceptional result.
This is not just an electoral victory. It's a victory for Romanian dignity. It's a victory for those who have not lost hope, for those who still believe in Romania as a free, respected and sovereign country.
This is the second time in 5 months that the country of 19 million has gone to the polls. The first attempt was annulled after claims of Russian interference in favor of then far-right frontrunner Calin Georgescu.
When I'm working long hours, I'm always listening to Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
Jack Posobiec, we're here, final segment live in Bucharest, Romania. Very special edition of Human Events Daily. I want to welcome in the Real America's Voiced audience as well as Hour 3 with Charlie Quirk. George, you have embarked on a very interesting debate strategy, one that I've never heard of before, where you've actually challenged your opponent to as many debates as possible. And your advisor was telling me you would even be willing to debate every single day, and you're challenging him to debates every single day. How did you come to this strategy, and do you think it's working?
I believe in debates. Out of respect for Mr. Georgescu and the annulment of the elections in the first round, I didn't go to debates, and I didn't feel at home because I like to express my ideas. I like to talk about the major key points. So yesterday we spent almost 5 hours at Euronews debating. I'm waiting to see today if my opponent wants to meet, and I'm challenging also the mainstream media channels who were spreading lies, and I'm telling them, if you are continuing spreading lies, I will not come to you. Euronews is just in Romania. They were on the 50 or 60 place in all the TV channels, and yesterday, with me being there and with my opponent being there, they were the third channel. So we bring them the audience, so they must respect us.
And you went for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Debate.
Yeah. And I want to congratulate my opponent because he is the underdog. He doesn't have any option just to come where I call him to debate with me. Because I told you, 20% difference between us. Huge difference. He participated, he is the successor of the former German president we had, Klaus Johannes, and he participated in this coup d'etat in annulling the elections without any evidence. So I'm sorry for him in a way, but I want the Romanian people to know who are these guys that want to rule over the country. I want the Romanian people to see them in their face when they say, we will send weapons to Ukraine, we will send the troops to Ukraine. Yes, really? I asked him, who do you know in the Trump administration, Nicușor? Who do you know at European level from the leaders? I will not answer this question. What debate is this? Say, I don't know anyone. I ask him, if you are a transparent guy, tell us who are your donors. Tell us surname, name of your donors. I do not want to answer this question. They will be persecuted. How? By whom they will be persecuted? Because you have all the deep state in Romania behind you. I asked him, did you vote yes for the marriage between a man and a woman? I don't want to answer this. Why? Because you are a pro-LGBTQ plus binary, non-binary guy? And these are your electors?
George, we're coming up to our last minute. If you could sum it all up, what is your message for the people as to why you're running?
I'm not running for me. I'm not running for my party. I'm running for democracy, for the voice of the people. I'm a freedom fighter. I have been a freedom fighter all of my life. I never imagined that I will become the president of Romania at 38 years old. Mr. Georgescu was supposed to be the real elected president, and they annulled the elections because they clinched to power.
Is there a chance, if you win, that you could bring him into your administration?
This is the normal thing to do justice, and to annul the effects of what they did. So I am here to fight dictatorship, authoritarianism. I am here to fight for justice, for the truth. and for my nation, for my people, and for God. And this is what is protecting me. This is what brings me so many friends here in Bucharest. They lied in the Romanian media that I was paying to go to Jack Posobiec's show and to Steve Bannon's show.
Paid? I didn't get them. I didn't get my check. I guess it didn't clear. Maybe it's held up with Interpol.
They only know to corrupt people, to pay people. This is the only thing.
Because that's what they're doing.
Trust.
Because that's exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
George Simion, what absolute pleasure. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.
They tried to shut them up.
There's no guarantee to free speech.
They tried to cancel them.
Deplatforming works.
They even threw them in jail.
Peter Navarro,
Steve Bannon,
now in prison.
But they couldn't stop them.
It's not a prison bill that will ever shut me up.
This is America's Voice Live.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Griffin.
The pulse of the people.
We need somebody that's going to hear the people's voice.
The truth the mainstream won't touch.
This guy is, by definition, a globalist.
And the stories that matter.
Rav's own Ben Bergquam.
Right up over this hill, we got an armed cartel. I see him.
Live.
Breaking news right now here on Real America's Voice.
Unfiltered.
These people are domestic terrorists.
And unapologetic.
We're here to take a stand for God and country. Let's feel good.
America's Voice Live starts now.
Welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gurry. It is Friday, thankfully, May the 9th. Let's get to the day's top stories. Thank you, as always, for spending time with us here on Real America's Voice. We truly appreciate it. Now, on Thursday, Cardinal Robert Prevost was selected as the next pope and will be known as Pope Leo